Joining me now, Geraldo Rivera, an attorney who's covered crime and high-profile cases for decades. He's also News Nation's correspondent at large. Geraldo, good to see you. Chandelle Summer, she's a Georgia attorney who previously worked as both a prosecutor and public defender in the state, and Shan Wu, former federal prosecutor and former counsel to the Attorney General in the Clinton administration. All right, first let me just get big picture thoughts on this. Geraldo, what did you make of her testimony, his testimony today?
I think it was self-destruction. It was awful to see her go off the rails the way she did. I watched this couple, falling apart right before our very eyes. Why the judge allowed her to testify without cooling down when she was so obviously distraught, I think was a disservice. I think that how would we all have felt? This is the key question. How would we have all felt if indeed we knew when she was picking him, Nathan Wade, to be special prosecutor, that they had or were having an intimate relationship and that he was going to use the money, his salary, to treat her to lavish trips around the country, to the Caribbean, to South America, and so forth? Of course, nobody who's licensed to practice law would have approved of his selection as special counsel. At a minimum, Fani Willis will be disqualified. This case will be delayed, and the strongest, some say, the strongest case against former President Trump will be hobbled. That's my take.
So, all right, Shan, I don't think she's going to be disqualified. I think that it's possible that Nathan Wade will be pushed out. I think it's a close case as to whether what they're going to do, but I want to play another piece. This is Fani Willis pronouncing, this is number one, when there was actually a fight over whether she was going to testify. A lawyer was saying she shouldn't be subpoenaed. She walks into court sort of dramatically and announces she's going to testify. Here's that moment.
I was pacing in my office, and I heard someone yell, "His testimony is done." It only made sense to me that I would be your next witness, and I've been very anxious to have this conversation with you today. So I ran to the courtroom.
Shan Wu, how do you think she did?
I actually think she did very well. She was very passionate. She definitely was too emotional at times. I wouldn't have wanted her to be that emotional. But I think overall it was quite effective. I also would not have wanted her to testify. I mean, from the sounds of it, she made a very impulsive decision to do that, which I don't think is the wise strategy. But overall, I think it came across well, actually. She came across really strong. It certainly got personal, absolutely. But of course, the basic premise of the disqualification motion is quite personal, because it's trying to use her personal life to disqualify her.
And one of the key questions, Chandelle, is this money, right? The question of, did she actually end up paying Nathan Wade back? And the claim was that she paid him back in cash, and that's why there are no receipts, which I have to say at first sounded so far-fetched, this idea that, oh, all the payments that she made to him were all in cash. And then you heard her explain it, and I don't know, there was something about the way that she explained it that I thought she gained some points from, but let's listen. This is number 5 in her talking about this.
So the cash that you would pay him, you wouldn't get it out of the bank?
I have money in my house.
You have money in your house, so it was just money that was there?
When you meet my father, he's going to tell you as a woman, you should always have, which I don't have, so let's don't tell him that. You should have at least 6 months in cash at your house at all times. Now, I don't know why this old black man feels like that, but he does. When we were growing up, my daddy had 3 safes in the house. So my father's bought me a lockbox, and I always keep cash in the house. Now, I don't do it to the degree that my father would do it, so he would probably be ashamed with me, but I always have cash at the house. That has been, I don't know, all my life. If you're a woman and you go on a date with a man, you better have $200 in your pocket. So if that man acts up, you can go where you want to go.
Chandelle, they were both she and Nathan Wade were so insistent on this idea that she paid him back in cash that while at first I thought there's no way, no how this actually could have happened, after listening to both their testimony, I started thinking, I don't know, maybe it could have happened.
Good evening, Dan. I think that they probably got their story straight before they both testified. I believe that the suggestion that she paid him back in cash is very fishy, and it's certainly something that's hard to trace. But the idea that she received cash, or that she paid him cash, and she went on these vacations, and he paid for it, and then she didn't report them as gifts or favors, which is required if you're the Fulton County prosecutor and you're doing business with someone, and he certainly does business in Fulton County, undermines her credibility.
Yeah, but Shan, there's a difference between, this issue of her not adhering officially to the rules of Fulton County and really this being a financial benefit. I mean, Shan, do you agree that for the judge to disqualify her, it's not going to just be about when the affair started? He's going to have to believe that it was about the money, right?
Absolutely. And the judge had said that. The judge had said that, but then sort of veered off track today. It's hard to see how easy it was for him to stay on track with all this stuff going on. But it ended up all being about the relationship aspect. And there is a credibility question whether she lied or not. And that's certainly something the judge would take into account in sort of weighing the testimony and the evidence. But the bottom line is they really do have to draw that line. And it is cash, very hard to figure out. And it's not as though the man's not making a salary. It's not like a kickback kind of situation. I just think that underlying theory, very, very weak and very hard to prove.
Geraldo, sorry, go ahead. You want to make a point?
No, I just think that her credibility is at issue here, Dan. How convenient that the relationship starts at the most benign possible time, and that every time they go on one of these trips, she's got a fistful of dollars where she's here, Nathan, here. It strains credulity. We look as lawyers for the technical aspect of what the requirements of this or that statute are. But what about credibility? I mean, how credible was this spectacle, particularly in light of the fact that a woman earlier today said that the relationship started back in 2019 and that Wade was brought on by Miss Willis because of the relationship, or at least there is that sequence. First they meet, then they have the affair, then she brings him on as special counsel.
Let me play.
I just don't know.
Let me play one more piece of sound from Fani Willis about that, because Geraldo raises this issue about this woman who seemed, a credible witness, although some say she's not credible, and certainly Fani Willis says she's not credible, saying that this relationship began years earlier. And again, that would mean he lied under oath, or lied, they both lied under oath, and that he lied in a submission to the court that she submitted. Here's Fani Willis's response. This is number 4.
For the last 10 years, or 5, whatever you'd like to classify it as, have you been friends with her?
I have not spoken to Robin in over a year. I certainly do not consider her a friend now. I think that she, there's a saying, no good deed goes unpunished, and I think that she betrayed our friendship.
All right, let me do this. Let me take a quick break. Everyone's going to stick around.